Hi, PerspectaWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Wednesday, October 10th. Hurricane Michael has intensified into a Category 4 storm. It should make landfall as a major hurricane this afternoon, probably between noon and 3 p.m. or so, and likely between Apalachicola and Panama City. Again, as a major hurricane, perhaps maintaining status as a Category 4 upon its arrival on the shores of the Florida Panhandle this afternoon. One of the strongest hurricanes to reach the Florida Panhandle in a long, long time. This is the latest visible satellite image, a clear view of the eye right now. It has been moving northward, maybe a little bit north-northeast, and again will make landfall right in this region right here during the early afternoon hours. Maximum sustained winds right now at 145 miles per hour. It is in a favorable environment for intensification right now, and has been for the last 12 to 24 hours or so as wind shear diminished. It's moving over very warm waters for this time of the year in the Gulf of Mexico. Again, it'll reach land as a major hurricane early this afternoon. Then it'll start to get an increasingly influenced by an approaching trough in the central U.S. That'll force it to move more to the north and east, and it should arrive in southern Georgia, likely as a hurricane, perhaps even a Category 2 hurricane, if not a 2, a 1, by early to mid-evening. Again, later tonight, arrives in southern Georgia as a hurricane. Then it begins to accelerate and moves to the north and east into the Carolinas. Well, here's kind of a loop of the last several frames here show that it might be a little bit more to the north-northeast now than the north. It's starting to become influenced by that trough in the central U.S. Again, the eye and the last couple of frames here is seemingly moving a little bit more to the north-northeast, or perhaps even to the northeast. And again, once it makes landfall, it'll really start to turn more to the north and east and move into southern Georgia later tonight. Again, likely maintaining hurricane status when it reaches southern Georgia, either as a Cat 1 or Cat 2, possibly maintaining Category 4 status upon arrival here in the Florida Panhandle early this afternoon. Well, here's a projected path by the National Hurricane Center based in Miami. This is a branch of NOAA. And again, it arrives early this afternoon as a major hurricane in the Florida Panhandle region. Again, probably between Apalachicola and Panama City. Tallahassee will get hit real hard with this hurricane throughout the day today. And then it starts to turn to the north and east, arrives in southern Georgia by middle of the night, let's say, as a hurricane, perhaps Category 2 status. Then it continues to move to the north and east, and an S here represents tropical storm status. It will continue to weaken. However, there can be certainly hurricane force gusts all the way up into the Carolinas, and perhaps even 60-mile-per-hour gusts up into the southeastern part of Virginia. Finally, it exits off of southeastern Virginia, northeastern North Carolina, very early hours of Friday morning. Now, there is not going to be a direct hit in the I-95 corridor region between D.C., Philadelphia, and New York City from the remains of Michael. That'll stay just to the south and east. However, the moisture associated with Michael will interact, basically become intertwined with a strong cold frontal system that will push in on later on Thursday and Thursday night. Certainly will have some occasional rain late tonight, tomorrow night in D.C., Philadelphia, New York City, and some embedded thunderstorm. Some of that rain will be heavy at times. Once this system passes out to the north and east, out into the open Atlantic, it'll basically cleanse the atmosphere in the mid-Atlantic region, turning much cooler on Friday with strong wind gusts, perhaps 35 miles per hour on Friday. Far less humid than what we've had over the past few days. High temperatures later Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at around 60 degrees and in the 40s for overnight lows Friday night and throughout the upcoming weekend. So again, this is the basic track that I agree with from the National Hurricane Center, moving off the southeastern part of Virginia, northeastern North Carolina by very early Friday morning. One other thing I want to point out here, to the east of this track, in this area right here, certainly can watch out for the possibility of some tornadic activity. Not at all unusual for a hurricane, once it moves inland, to have some tornadoes on the right side along the path and to the right of the path here. So watch out for tornado watches throughout the rest of today and tomorrow in this particular region right here. But again, not a direct hit in the DC, Philadelphia, New York City corridor, but some heavy rain associated with the moisture of Michael, as well as a strong cold frontal system. Well, one final map I'd like to show here. This is from the NOAA forecasts for the total precipitation amounts over the next 3 days. This basically encompasses the entire path of Hurricane Michael, as well as that strong cold frontal system. Again, in the DC, Philadelphia, New York City corridor, there will be some heavy rain, but the heaviest of the rain will stay on the eastern side of the I-95 corridor region as the storm itself moves off the southeastern Virginia coastline, or perhaps northeastern North Carolina by early Friday morning. Very heavy rain, more direct impact across southeastern Virginia, where winds could gust up to 60 miles per hour. Even the southern half of the Delmarva Peninsula can see some heavier rainfall than the immediate I-95 corridor, as well as the extreme part of New Jersey. Now, in the region where Florence produced incredible amounts of rain, there will be, unfortunately, significant rainfall. Perhaps a silver lining here is that the heaviest rain looks like it'll fall a little bit to the north and west in the higher elevation regions from Michael over the next day or two. Again, in the Carolinas we're talking about still significant rain in that region that was pounded by Florence last month. Now, one of the final things I want to say, one of the reasons this storm is so dangerous is it's reaching land right about at its peak in intensity. That doesn't happen too often. It happened with Hurricane Camille, which arrived in Mississippi in 1969 as a Cat 5 storm just to the west of this particular expected landfall. Again, Michael arrives almost right at the peak of its intensity. You may remember Florence weakened for at least 48 hours before it made landfall in the Carolinas last month. So that's it for now. Stay tuned to PerspectaWeather.com for updates later today on Hurricane Michael makes landfall this afternoon. I'm meteorologist Paul Dorian.